Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD Relationship Psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD Trauma Transformational Tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, we are going to be talking about do not fall for the PMDD trap. What I mean by this is every single month when you get intrusive thoughts during PMDD, if you fall for this trap, you are going to severely damage your PMDD relationship. And I really thought about this the other day where I was sitting up in my bed, and my partner was already awake. And I was going to go downstairs and join him. And I literally woke up to so many PMDD intrusive thoughts specifically about my partner. And I was so shocked because they were so negative and they were almost spinning in my head again and again and again. And the more I thought about the thoughts, the more I got irritated and angry and offended and all of these things. And yet I had no interaction with my PMDD partner that day. But I literally earlier in my journey, this used to happen to me a lot. I would just wake up in this negative headspace and my PMDD partner would be so loving, like, oh, good morning, babe, and all these things. And I would be so irritated and I'd almost give him the side eye and he would be like, what the heck? Like, he would just kind of be walking around like, okay, like what happened? What did I do? And I wouldn't even, my defense mechanism back then was not to verbalize when I was offended. So I would kind of be holding in those intrusive thoughts and they begin to form as stories in my mind because the intrusive thoughts for me always had to do with facts. There was some kind of fact that was attached to the lie that made me believe the whole thing. So I'm going to give you an example of what that can look like. If the intrusive thought is telling you that your partner doesn't value you, they don't appreciate you, you do all of these things for them, and they just take you for granted, and you ask your PMDD partner to do something and they fail to do it one time, you can attach the fact that they failed to do something and you can attach it to that intrusive thought that's telling you that your partner doesn't value you. And you can start to, replay that over and over in your mind and say, they don't deserve to be with me. Even when I'm in PMDD, I still do this for them. I still do that. I'm suffering with all of these PMDD symptoms and they're not even showing up to support me. I bet you if I was with someone else, they would support me. Like you go through this rabbit hole and a lot of these, that's why I say do not fall for the trap because it was replaying in my mind so much that I couldn't make it stop. So I really want to talk to you about what intrusive thoughts are, because I know I use it a lot. If you follow me on Instagram, I tell you every single day what symptoms I'm having, whether I'm in PMDD or in my follicular phase, in my good days. And a lot of the times, the majority of the days out of my 14 days, I probably have intrusive thoughts like 10 of the days. Like it's a very common theme for me. And I get them from the start, and it's so mind-boggling because I can't turn it off. And it's very, very negative, specifically towards my partner. I don't even seem to get them with other people. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. It always happens with my partner, and it normally happens in the morning, and it's normally tied to a fact. And so what intrusive thoughts they are unexpected images or thoughts that pop in your head. And so they're either really, really strange or really, really, distressing. They're really horrible. They're traumatic. And when they pop in your head, it's kind of like we don't immediately know what to do with them. It seems like intrusive thoughts come out of nowhere. And so they're unwanted and unpleasant. I mean, some of the most vile things that you can think of, you can have in your intrusive thoughts. And some of them can be sexual. Some of them can be really aggressive. Or you can, like, bisexual. I mean, like, you can be thinking about an ex. I know I have a lot of clients that oftentimes when they're in PMDD, they're thinking about their ex, and they don't normally think about their ex, but now you're having images of you and your ex, and it's sexual, and now you're feeling guilty about it, and you don't know where this is coming from. A lot of times, if you feel like you want to break up with your PMDD partner and you mix that with these intrusive thoughts, you may start to think that, oh, I would be better off with my ex, even though your ex is your ex for a reason, right? But you start to see only the glorified part of being with your ex, like you're remembering the good times, you're remembering the good sex that you had, you're remembering the good conversations, you're remembering all of these things, but you're not remembering why you guys broke up, right? And it can also be aggressive. When you mix PMDD intrusive thoughts and PMDD rage together in your mind, you almost feel like this kind of superhero, like you have this kind of superhero power where, I don't know, it's very aggressive. Like, it makes you feel strong, like an alter ego, and you feel like you want to just throw something. I know there's been times in PMDD rage where I actually have, not at my partner, but like as a result. I remember earlier in my journey with PMDD rage, when I was mixed with the PMDD intrusive thoughts and I couldn't make them stop. I remember I went into the bathroom, I was crying on the floor, and I couldn't make the intrusive thoughts stop. And it was torturing. It was kind of like this ongoing voice saying these horrible things. And there was a glass candle in my bedroom, and I literally swung open the door of my bedroom and then threw the candle against the wall. And my partner came in and was like, what the heck is going on? He was mortified. And I almost thought that throwing something or doing something drastic or aggressive was actually going to make the intrusive thoughts stop. But it didn't. It added on guilt, because then you have the intrusive thoughts that are telling you, what kind of person are you? Are you crazy? I can't believe you just did that. Like, it's like the intrusive thoughts want you to do negative things. And then when you do the negative things, then you feel guilty about doing the negative things. And then you get beat up emotionally about doing those things, but you never would have done them if you didn't fall for the PMDD intrusive thought trap. And it's almost, you don't know how to turn it off. So that's another part. You get really, really helpless. But what I want you to know is that intrusive thoughts are lies. Okay. I wish that someone would have told me this, because I based so many reasons for breaking up off of these intrusive thoughts. Like, the basis of me breaking up so many times was off of an intrusive thought. It wasn't when I was in my good days and I was having rational thinking. It was like these thoughts popped in my head, and I started, rationalizing it, and I got really convincing. Even with my best friend, Angie, I got really convincing with, telling her why I should break up. Like, this is normally how it happens. I get like a lawyer, and I get like, these are the reasons that I should break up. And this is why my life is going to be miserable until I break up. And this is why. And then I say, they don't appreciate me. And then I always say, I would rather be single. I don't really go the ex route, because I think my exes are so bad that they left such an imprint that I would never fall for that mistake again of going back with an ex. But I can tell you that the thoughts do pop in there, but it's just like, it's almost like with the intrusive thoughts, your brain will take what you latch on to and believe, and the things that you kind of shut out and you're like, no, that's not true. Like, that's not going to happen. Like if a thought comes up about my ex, like that's normally how it is. And then I'm like, no. So because I choose not to believe it, then my brain is like, we can't use that one. I got to use something else. So then it goes to another intrusive thought about something that I probably could believe. And a lot of mine are based off of my past childhood trauma. And it'll tell me, like nobody understands you, nobody loves you. If my PMDD partner says something about me, like if he has an issue with something that I'm doing, that'll be the fact that I use. And then the intrusive thought will tell me, you really shouldn't even be with this person. If this person thinks that if your PMDD partner thinks that you're so bad, why are they even with you? Like why should they even be with you? You should just let them go be with somebody else. Maybe they will be better off with somebody else. They probably really want to be with somebody else and they just feel like they're stuck with you. So you might as well just give them the green light and let them go be with somebody else. That's probably what they really want to do. This is what it sounds like, right? And I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, like there's some, you know what I mean? Like there's some truth to it. So I'm like, crap. I mean, maybe he does want to be, so can you imagine I'm going through this and then by the time I actually have a conversation with my partner, I'm saying these things, but I'm saying it with a level of confidence, like matter of factly, like I know that you want to be with someone else. And so I'll like start statements like that. And he's like, what are you talking? Like, I never said that. But for me, it's like, oh, you didn't have to say that because in my mind, it's already been said and I latched onto it and I believe it. So what I want to give you as a tool is to be very careful. Do not fall for the trap of what you actually believe. The intrusive thoughts are going to come, but whatever you latch onto and believe will go again and again and again. What it does is it takes that negative belief that you have now and it replays it in your mind in various scenarios. So it's kind of like listening to the same song with different beats. And so you're saying the same lyrics again and again and again. He doesn't want to be with me. He deserves somebody better. He probably doesn't want to. He feels like he's stuck. Like you'll just keep hearing that again and again and again. And your PMDD partner is probably going to be caught off guard trying to defend themselves. But for me, when I have these intrusive thoughts, the more that my PMDD partner tries to fight me on it, the more I'm convinced that the PMDD intrusive thought is true. Because I get into this defensive mode, like, no, it's like matter of factly. Like, it's almost like I've already made up the decision in my mind. I fell for the trap. And then I've already made the decision in my mind because of these reasons, we should break up. And you'll be happier. And I'm not even sad about it. I'm just, I've come to terms with it. I've tried my best. I gave it a good go. And, we're just going to be better off with other people. And it's almost like my PMDD partner can't really say anything to that because it's not coming off as an irrational, emotional kind of reaction. It's so solid and almost calm and calculated that it's scary because he's like, well, I mean, if you made up your mind, like, and what happens is I've fallen for it so many times. And so, the other day when I woke up, I was almost going to fall for that same trap. We were supposed to do something for that day. And when I was about to go downstairs, I had all of these intrusive thoughts, but you know what? I caught myself. I said, oh my gosh, it's happening again. It's happening in a sense of I'm feeling like these things are really, really true. And when I believe it and receive it, then when I start to talk to my PMDD partner, I'm very distant. I'm very emotionless. Like I've almost cut off emotions. Like all emotional connection is gone. And I'm talking very matter of factly. I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, and then they're like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, it's fine. Because at that point, if I'm thinking about breaking up, I'm not like, it doesn't matter what's wrong with me. I remember even saying to my PMDD partner one time that I'm not, I'm not your concern anymore. Don't worry about how I'm feeling. That's no longer your concern. That's what I said. I am no longer your concern. You don't have to worry about me. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't. And then the intrusive thought goes on because I'm like, well, I needed you to care about how I was thinking before, but you chose not to. So now it's too late. So now we're good. And I go through this whole process and my partner is totally taken off guard. And he almost has to accept it because he's like, well, I don't want to, like, he'll literally say, well, I don't want to break up, but I mean, I'm not going to force you to be in this relationship. So if you don't want to be in it, then I guess there's nothing that I can do. And then I'm like, yeah, there's nothing you can do. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And so if you're resonating with any of this, if any of this sounds familiar and it's something that you go through when you're in PMDD, this rabbit hole, this torturous rabbit hole of intrusive thoughts, I want you to join the PMDD Partner Support Group. This week, we're going to be going over this specific topic. I told you every single week, we're going to have a new topic and I'm going to give you a specific workbook and we're going to work through the tools on how to, stop falling for this PMDD trap. And also communicating it to our partners because I had to kind of explain it to my PMDD partner, but the way I explained it, the first time, I don't think he got it because I was just like, I'm thinking these things in my mind, but they're not true. And he's like, well, what are they? And then I told him and he's like, why? Then he got offended. So it literally turned into an argument because I was like, well, I'm thinking that you would want to be with another person and blah, blah, blah. So then it turned into, I'm trying to explain intrusive thoughts to my PMDD partner. Then he got offended. You don't think I'm loyal? You don't trust me? You don't like, I was like, well, I didn't say that, but what I'm saying is I'm going through this. Like a lot of times, this is the benefit of doing the work with me because you're able to process things without having your PMDD partner get offended or take it personally, because it's easy with intrusive thoughts, with falling for this PMDD trap. It's easy for them to take it personal because it's literally against them. It's literally negative thoughts about them. So I would find it really hard if my PMDD partner actually has gotten these intrusive thoughts. It just came out, like I told you on the other episode when we went to Lake Tahoe and he was calling me names and he called me a narcissist. So I remember, this is how I know it was an intrusive thought because he said narcissist and he doesn't use language like that. And so I was like, what the heck are you? I said, what did you call me? And so, I said it not in a way of like an attitude, like, what did you call me? I said it in a way like I was very inquisitive because it kind of like it was like a record scratch. And he was like, yeah, you're a narcissist because of this, this, and this. And I said, a narcissist. So, because, on social media these days, everybody's a narcissist. And so I'm like, where the heck who did you add to your social media? Because you don't even talk like that. Like he normally says the action versus calling me a name. But there was this, I guess, okay, so this is how I know it's an intrusive thought. So we had a conversation and, he said I was a narcissist along with other things. Like it was like one of the things, but that's the one that stuck out for me. And then when we had a conversation later on after we had calmed down and I said, hey, let's address, some of the things that you said. Like I told you in previous episodes that I had talked to you about the 24 reasons that I had chosen to break up with my partner. Like these are 24 reasons we should break up. Well, I also, cause I'm very like self-analytical, right? Like that, I also wrote down all of the things that he said about me, all of the names that he called me, all of the things that he said I did, because I just wanted to see, and this is the first tool that I'm going to give you. I wanted to see, I told him, okay, this is how I started the conversation. I said, I'm going to talk to you about the things that you said about me. And during this conversation, we had it at a restaurant. It was in Lake Tahoe. It was beautiful. It was just me and him because we had our daughter there. But I was like, let's just go to breakfast on our own so we can kind of have this conversation. And I said, out of all of the things that you called me, all of the names that you called me, I just want you to tell me if you believe that they are true or do you think that they're a lie? And if they're a lie, then can you tell me why? That rhymes. So, I went through the list, and when I got to the one, I didn't want to say narcissist first because I didn't want to make it like too obvious that that's the one that I was really wanted to know about, because I wanted to know about all of them. I think his list was like 10 things, 9 or 10 things, but I wanted to mix it in there because I wanted to be really natural. Because you know how sometimes your first instinct is to just say something really positive or really like not too bad because you're just trying to test the waters. When you're talking with your partner, like you may not be completely raw, but then after you said a couple things, like you might just come out and say it. So I mentioned, like he mentioned 1 or 2 things, and he was like, yeah, I believe that that's true. I think he said something about, he had said I was disrespectful. That was another one that he said. And I was like, I was so confused. I'm like, me disrespectful? Like, what are you talking about? And I said, do you think that this is true? So this is the first tool. Ask yourself if the belief of the intrusive thought that you have is true. And so he said, yes, that one is true. And then I said, okay, if the answer is yes, then I need to know how. Give me an example. And so he said, well, you're always late. And when he says late, he means like he's very on time. He's a Marine. I mean, they're like 30 minutes early. Like if they say that they're showing up to work at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, they're normally there like 30 minutes early. I don't operate like that. Like my brain, I have so much to do that if I have an extra 20 minutes, I'm trying to multitask and try to find other things to do in that time frame. And I've always been like that. He knows I'm like that. But he said, when you pick me up from the airport, you're late. And so because you're late, you're disrespectful. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't understand how he connected the two to that. But what he was basically saying was it mattered to him that I was on time. And because I knew that it mattered to him that I was on time, and I was choosing to not be on time, that I was disrespecting him. I was disrespecting what was important to him. I could not have I would never have thought of that. Like, that's why I think it's so important to have these conversations with your partner, because the way he explained it, I kind of saw, like, I don't know if you've ever had this happen where you kind of see after your partner says something, how they came to that conclusion, but that's not a process that you ever would have come to. Like, I never would have did a maze and put disrespect at the end because I was late. So of course I tried to defend myself first. I'm like, well, I have all of these things going on. Like, I'm not late on purpose. I'm not sitting around eating bonbons and watching Oprah, and that's why I'm late. I'm not sitting around like scrolling on social media with my feet up on the couch, and that's why I was late picking you up. And then I was like, well, I was only 10 minutes late. So I started going into this big like defending mode, like, because I couldn't believe that he had, like, I really thought that was going to be one of the intrusive thoughts things, but no, he said that that's what he considered disrespect. And I had to respect the fact that that was his belief. And so I said, okay, I understand. I apologize. And I will make a more of an effort to be on time because I know that that really matters to you. And he was like, thank you for validating my belief. So this is what you're doing when you're having these conversations about the intrusive thoughts. You're validating the belief. First, you're questioning. Question all beliefs that happen because of intrusive thoughts. And then if they're actually valid, like if there's some fact to it, like for him, there was a fact to it. So I acknowledged my part in it, and then we moved on. So we got to the juicy one, the one I was waiting for. And I said, so yeah. And then you said I was a narcissist. Do you believe that that's true? Was it a lie? And then why? And then he said, no, I don't think that was true. I said that. And I said, okay, so the answer is no. And then I said, well, why would you say that about me? And he said, because I was hurt. And I said, so because I hurt your feelings by something that I said or did, you call me a narcissist? And he was like, yeah. And I was first of all, I was thankful that he was honest. And then I was so like, okay. But then I said, so, and I asked because I was so curious. I was no longer offended at that point. Because I'm like, okay, because here's my thing. You should always give your partner not a pass to say things when they're triggered. But when they have these intrusive thoughts, like, because I'm telling you this process and how torturous it is, when you question it, you should always just give them the opportunity to just say like, yeah, I said this because of this. Like, give them that leadway and don't hold it over their head or think that they're a bad person, because that was just their way of processing the intrusive thoughts. And when he said that, I said, okay. And then I said, well, where did you get that word from? I said, that's not even something that you even like say ever. I wasn't going to say that often. And he was like, well, because I'm doing all this psychology work. And so yeah, he got I am getting my PMDD, Lord Jesus. I am getting my doctorate in PMDD relationships. That's the focus of my study. The basis of my study is counseling with a concentration in traumatology. He went to my same university and graduated with his master's. So he's now has his master's in counseling. And there's a lot of psychology in it. We actually were sharing, I inspired him, or not inspired him, but I suggested that he get his master's, and he did. And I'm so proud of him. And a lot of the coursework and books that we were using the same books. So we would share literature. So I have a library in our home. And whenever we come here, like he's always like, reading some of my stuff, which is his stuff and all the things. And so narcissist, obviously, is like a really big one. And so he was like, I got it out of there. And I was just like, okay, babe. Like, but it was just a matter of questioning it and finding out, because that's what I was most offended by falling into this PMDD trap. Like, that was a lot of times with PMDD, I'll fall into like one thing I'll latch on, and my PMDD partner will tell you this. I will latch on to one comment that is made, and I will like ride that thing till the wheels fall off. And that'll be the reason why everything's going wrong in our relationship, because of this, so I could have taken that narcissist comment and ran with it and be like, we don't need to be together because I'm a narcissist, and and gone on and on and on. But when he said, no, I just said it because I was hurting and I knew it was like a negative thing. And, sometimes I guess you want to feel smart when you're being a smart A, because it's a clean podcast. I'm not going to cuss, but when you're being a smart aleck, then you want to sound smart sometimes because you want like your comments to be justified. You don't want to sound like stupid, I guess. So he called me the narcissist, but then he said, I didn't believe it. But once we went through that process of really questioning it, finding out if it's true. And if you answer no to something like how he did, it might sound silly, but give yourself permission to understand that subconsciously, that's what I was going off of, that PMDD trap, those intrusive thoughts, and know that you have it and your PMDD partner has it too. So before you get upset and before you go days and days and days of arguing and not being on the same page and holding on to the hurtful words that your PMDD partner has said to you, take a moment, question them, find out if they're true. If they're not true, you have to be willing to let them go. Give your partner a pass. I know I did, and I felt much better after that conversation. We literally left the restaurant and we went and had an amazing day. We went skiing. I fell a couple times, I was going down this mountain and I wasn't ready to go. Like, skiing is kind of like whatever direction that your skis are going in, that's where they flow. And so I was trying to stay at the top of the hill to wait to see my daughter go all the way down at the bottom of the hill, because you can't go back up the hill when you're skiing. So I was like up at the top waiting for her to go down. And it was, her and my husband, they went down, but they went down halfway. And so I was like, keep going. Like, I just want to see. And I wasn't ready to go. And I guess my skis, because I was on the curb of the thing, I literally went all the way down both humps because I couldn't stop myself. So I literally was going down screaming, and people started cheering because I was screaming so loud. And I screamed the most ridiculous thing. I don't know what I was thinking. I was screaming, I have the heart of a lion. I have the heart of a lion. Because I was really scared. But I just was trying to pump myself up to get down the hill, and people were like, woo. And I didn't hear anyone. I blacked out. I don't know. And the only way to stop at the end of the hill was to fall. You have to fall sideways, because otherwise I was going to go straight into the tree. And so I was like, oh, okay. So we had that amazing day, and I will never forget the conversation about the narcissist because of the skiing trip and, you know, me falling and all the things. But if you have found this helpful and you want to dig deeper into the tools that I have for this, I have approximately, because there's a workbook that goes along with this where we're going to go deep and write out all of the, you know, the intrusive thought process, how to get rid of them, what to do when you're in the moment, what to do, what your partner can do. So this workbook is specifically going to be for you and your partner. Because like I told you, I have it. My PMDD partner has it. Like, we both had to go through this process, but it helped us. Number one, it stopped us from breaking up, because who wants to be with a narcissist? But then it also gave us a shift that we were able to do to kind of get those PMDD intrusive thoughts to not stop, but know what to do when we got them, right? I never tell you, oh, I'm going to give you the magic trick on how to stop these things. I tell you how to navigate them and give you the tools to use when they do come up, because 9 times out of 9, they're going to come up again. And it's just something that we're going to have to live with, but it is very damaging in your PMDD relationship. So if you resonated with any of this, go to my website, www.inlovewithpmdd.com. On the top menu, you're going to see PMDD Partner Support Group. Within the support group, you're going to be able to click on the tab that says intrusive thoughts, and it's going to give you the workbook along with the steps on how we do this. So I give it to you in a video format, but we're working through it together. And it's something that you can replay again and again and again. Once you're a member, you have unlimited access to not just this session, but all of the previous sessions. So no matter what the topic is, you're going to be able to go in there and look up the tools so that you can actually have access to them. This is the most affordable way to work with me. It's only $100 1 month, but you get 4 complete sessions every single week to really actively work on your PMDD relationship. I love that you come here and you listen to things that resonate with you, and the PMDD Partner Support Group is taking it a step further. I know that I don't really have a big space for private clients right now, onesies and twosies, because I'm working on my doctorate. So this is my way of serving more PMDD partners. If you want to apply for one of my private sessions, you can go to my website and check my booking calendar as well. If you want this session to be more specific for you and your partner, those are the 2 ways that you can work with me on these PMDD intrusive thoughts so that you do not fall for the trap. Don't fall for the PMDD trap and end up breaking up with your PMDD partner. We got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.